Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. And you may see we were a little bit on a pause since November of last year, and the purpose of that was our new office was under renovation. It's 99% almost done. So today on this video we are reconvening back as of February 2026 market update. So welcome back. Now for those who are interested to read all details on this YouTube's link, you can head out to my website. We always prepare an extensive blog, give you a summary breakdown, put the PDF, and from there you're able to look at everything. So what happened in Metro Vancouver for the real estate market? What in a macro aspect of things, uncertainty is still high, inventory is high, and therefore sales are cooler, I shall say. And so as there is a consistency in terms of the price decline, which most of you, if you're keeping an eye on, is impacting that. So with low confidence, higher inventory, there is a price depreciation. So let's take a look at what the stats are speaking to us. Now, when we look at the sales, meaning how much of the activity has occurred, I look at year over year, and then also one of the great things is a long-term snapshot, which is 10-year. Now, year over year, the sales were down nearly 10%, but if we were to take a 10-year average, which the greater Vancouver market likes to also know, it's nearly down about 30%. Speaks of the market confidence. Now, if we dive into new inventory, as more and more sellers know that if they don't have to sell, they shouldn't sell. So there has been a decrease in new inventory coming in the market. It's down by about 6.4% from last year. And when we are looking at activity-wise, now this is a little page that I would highly recommend. If you go on the bottom of this page, there's a nice little graph that always showcases how the inventory is being absorbed based on the product. So for example, starting off with the detached property in all of Metro Vancouver, detached property is more on a buyer segment because of its price and because there's not a lot of families leaving a condo to upgrade. So detached homes also have the highest pricing effect. But when we are looking in terms of the sales, detached home was only absorbed by 9%. What that means, there were 100 detached properties in the market, only 9 of them were sold for the month of February. Now, product-wise, townhouses, which is kind of like a hybrid product, it's a better than a condo, but not as expensive as a detached, has always doing far better price points-wise and as well as absorption. So when we look at the townhouses, it's pretty good. 16.6% has been absorbed. So if you're a townhouse holder, it is not as sort of like a buyer's market compared to the detached. Now, condos, which is one of the highest number of inventory in the market, the absorption is 14.1%. So it means it's still quite in the buyer segment. So when you look into this chart, which I always look at it, you're going to see there is a good 3 lines, and it shows that detached condos are more on the buyer side, townhouses is more on the balance side. So that kind of gives you what kind of a product you own and how is it doing in the market. Now, the most important thing is the prices, how much the prices have been averagely adjusted because of all this. When you look into the detached homes, the average price is down 8.8%. Now, we have done some transactions in certain areas and certain markets. That number is less in a desirable area with a great presentation of a product. But in certain markets, the detached have dropped as high as 15%. So it all depends on which pocket of the market we're talking. But if you were to take the basket of all the detached homes, on average, let's rounding it up, nearly 10% the prices have depreciated from last year to this year. When we look into townhouses, now townhouses, as I said, it's kind of like a bit of a resilient product, is dropped 5.6%. And then when we see the high inventory of apartments, it's about 6.8%. Again, this is just to kind of give you a kind of a blanket kind of a approach, meaning how much each of these products have adjusted. So this is to kind of give you the summary of the month of February. I can anticipate based on forecasting that for the next 3 months or even 6 months, unless we see some really high impact movements into the market, such as a very high drastic Bank of Canada's rate interest or interest rate, which we don't see it in the pipeline, I would say this year it's going to continue to be a sort of an average of the last few months, and it's going to still have a lot of inventory, but it's always a great news for a lot of first-time home buyers. And as speaking about the townhouses, it's a great time to upgrade from a townhouse to a detached home because there's a lot more of a price adjustments on a detached versus a townhouse. If you have any questions, and the stats was more than your ability to kind of decode, you want to talk specifically about your plan, DM me, and I'm just a virtual call. All my virtual calls, consultations are available, and we can get into a one-on-one discussion about your real estate plan. Until next month, have a wonderful day.